Listen to me. The most dangerous weapon you will ever face in this life is not a sword, not a gun, not even failure. It is words. Words dripping with doubt. Words designed to belittle, to wound, to make you question who you are and why you even bother. But here's the truth. What was designed to destroy you can become the very fuel that lifts you into destiny. Every time someone underestimates you, every time they whisper that you're not good enough, every time they laugh at your dreams, they unknowingly hand you fire, and it is up to you whether that fire consumes you or ignites you. Negativity is not the absence of value, it is confirmation of your presence. People do not throw stones at empty trees. They throw stones where there is fruit. The criticism you hear is often evidence that you are bearing fruit worth noticing. Do not let their blindness become your blindness. When criticism comes, detach. Do not wrestle with every word. Step back. Look at it as though it were not even aimed at you. Emotional detachment is not weakness, it is power. It is the calm authority of one who knows their identity is not for debate. You see, only those who are anchored can endure storms. And the storm of negativity is meant to test the depth of your roots. Hear me well. When someone speaks against you, they reveal their own fear. They see in you a reflection of what they could never become. And so their only weapon is to attempt to shrink you with words. But what if you chose not to shrink? What if you chose to rise higher with every blow? What if you transformed their doubt into fuel? Do not drink every word that is poured into your spirit. Some words are poison. Some words are daggers. Learn the sacred art of filtering. Ask yourself, does this word carry truth that I can use, or does it carry venom that must be released? If it is truth, refine it and grow. If it is venom, let it fall to the ground. That is the power of spiritual detachment. Understand this. Negativity is raw energy. Untamed, it can corrode your soul. But when harnessed, it becomes fuel for resilience, fuel for vision, fuel for destiny. They said you could not do it? Prove them wrong by doing it twice. They said you were not enough? Show them that you were never trying to be enough for them. You were born to be more than enough for your calling. Never forget, people criticize most where they sense the most strength. They see a light in you they cannot dim, and so they attempt to cast shadows with their words. But shadows cannot exist without light. If they speak, it means you are shining. So stand tall. Let the arrows of negativity bounce off your armor of purpose. Let the voices that rise against you become background noise to the symphony of your destiny. Every word meant to weaken you. Turn it, reshape it, convert it. Let it fuel your steps. Let it feed your fire, and let it remind you always that you are still standing because you were never built to break. Negativity is not a reflection of your worth, but a mirror of another person's inner state. When people project doubt, anger, or ridicule onto you, it often has little to do with who you truly are and everything to do with the storms they are battling within themselves. A person who carries peace rarely feels the need to disturb another. A person secure in their own identity does not waste energy tearing down someone else's. Most of the negativity you encounter is a window into another soul's brokenness, insecurity, or fear. Understanding this truth changes everything, because instead of internalizing their words as a judgment of your value, you begin to see them as reflections of where they are on their own journey. Their criticism becomes less about you and more about what they cannot accept in themselves. This awareness is the beginning of freedom. You no longer absorb their poison as truth, because you realize it was never about you in the first place. When someone mocks your ambition, it could be their hidden regret speaking. When they doubt your ability, it may be their own failures echoing. When they belittle your dreams, it could be their fear of dreaming again. To internalize such negativity is to misread its source. You cannot measure your worth against the fragile hearts of others. Instead, you must stand firm, knowing that your value was set long before their voices were raised. By detaching from their projections, you reclaim your power. You stop being tossed around by the emotions of others and anchor yourself in a deeper truth that your identity and purpose are not up for debate. In that moment, negativity transforms from an attack to a revelation, teaching you not about who you are, but about the unseen battles others are fighting. Criticism often reveals more about the critic than the one being criticized. When a person chooses to speak words that cut, judge, or diminish, they are often revealing the lens through which they see life, not the truth of who you are. Every comment comes from a place. Sometimes that place is pain, sometimes insecurity, sometimes fear. When someone says you cannot achieve something, it may be because they themselves never dared to try. When they say your vision is impossible, it might be because they surrendered their own too soon. In this way, their words are less a verdict on your destiny and more a confession of their own limitations. The mistake most people make is accepting criticism at face value, as though the critic holds the authority to define their future. But the critic does not see your whole story. They see only fragments colored by their own experiences. Their words are mirrors reflecting back their personal disappointments, frustrations, and unresolved wounds. To interpret their criticism as ultimate truth is to let someone else's broken lens determine the clarity of your vision. When you begin to see criticism through this understanding, it no longer pierces as deeply. Instead, it becomes information, insight into what that person values, fears, or has failed to conquer. This shift gives you the power to detach emotionally because you recognize that their words are not always about your journey, but about theirs. Some critics use their voice to cage others, hoping no one else will soar where they themselves never dare to fly. But you must refuse to shrink to the size of their vision. Instead, allow their criticism to highlight their inner world while you remain anchored in yours. Their reflection is not your reality, and their judgment is not your destiny. Inner strength is shown by how calmly you stand when the world throws stones. Anyone can appear strong when surrounded by applause, but true resilience is measured in silence. When the noise around you is filled with accusation, doubt, or ridicule, the ability to remain composed in those moments is not weakness, but proof of maturity and depth. Calmness under attack is the fruit of one who has discovered that identity is not negotiable. You know who you are, you know where you are going, and therefore the voices meant to shake you lose their grip. When stones of negativity are hurled, the natural reaction is to fight back, to defend, or to crumble. But wisdom teaches a different path. To stand calmly is to say, without words, that you are unshaken. It is to choose peace over reaction, dignity over anger, purpose over distraction. This stillness disarms critics because it reveals that their attempts to wound cannot penetrate the fortress of your spirit. Calmness becomes a language, one that communicates power more strongly than retaliation ever could. This strength is not passive, it is active mastery over self. It takes greater power to restrain the urge to lash out than to give in to it. Calmness creates clarity, and clarity allows you to discern which battles are worth your energy and which are not. By refusing to be tossed about by every negative word, you conserve your focus for the path that truly matters. Inner strength shines brightest when storms rage around you, and yet you remain steady. That steadiness is what carries you forward when others expect you to collapse. The stones they throw may bruise the surface, but they cannot reach the core of a soul anchored in peace and rooted in purpose. Every word meant to break you can be transformed into bricks to build you. When people speak negativity over your life, their intention is often to weaken your confidence, to shake your foundation, or to derail your pursuit of purpose. But what if instead of allowing those words to sink into your spirit as wounds, you chose to gather them as raw material for your strength? Each insult, each doubt, each dismissal becomes a brick. And with every brick, you are given the chance to build something taller, stronger, and more enduring than the voices that tried to silence you. The process begins with perspective. Instead of asking, why are they saying this about me? Begin asking, how can I use this to sharpen me? The very words designed to weigh you down can become the weight that strengthens your inner muscles. Just as resistance builds physical strength, so too does opposition build spiritual and emotional resilience. What they thought would destroy you becomes the very proof that you are unshakable. Think of the time someone told you that you were not capable, not worthy, not enough. Those words sting, but they also serve as reminders of what you must rise above. Each one is a challenge, a test of whether you will crumble or construct. If you choose wisely, you lay those words beneath your feet as steps to higher ground. Their doubt becomes your platform, their criticism your ladder, their rejection your doorway. In this way, negativity loses its power. It no longer dictates your path, but contributes to it. You build with what was meant to break you, and in doing so, you transform opposition into structure, insult into foundation, and pain into architecture for the destiny you are called to manifest. Spiritual detachment allows you to hear criticism without absorbing its poison. It is the ability to listen without letting every word sink into your spirit, to remain aware of what is being said without allowing it to contaminate your inner peace. When you practice detachment, you create a sacred space within yourself where negativity cannot enter. You can hear the noise around you, but it does not become the noise within you. This is not denial, nor is it indifference. It is wisdom, the wisdom of protecting your heart while still being open to growth. Every voice you encounter carries energy. Some words uplift, others weigh down. Without detachment, you absorb both, and in doing so, you allow external voices to govern your emotions. Detachment is the shield that keeps your spirit free from toxins, while still giving you the clarity to discern if there is any truth hidden within the criticism. It allows you to extract wisdom without swallowing venom. When you detach, you are no longer desperate for approval, nor are you easily wounded by rejection. Your sense of worth is anchored in something deeper than human opinion. You can look at criticism with calm eyes, sift through it, and decide whether it holds value for your growth or whether it belongs to the ground as wasted words. Detachment is the silent declaration that your identity is not for negotiation. It is not that you stop caring, but that you stop clinging. You let go of the need to defend yourself at every turn, and instead you conserve your energy for what truly matters: your vision, your purpose, your calling. In detachment, you find freedom. You are no longer at the mercy of voices that rise against you because your spirit remains untouched, unshaken, and unbroken. Confidence is not silence of critics, but silence within yourself despite them. True confidence does not demand that the world applauds you or even agrees with you. It rests in the assurance that even if every voice around you rises in doubt, there is a stillness inside that cannot be shaken. The noise of criticism will always exist, some loud, some subtle, some wrapped in disguise as concern. But confidence is the inner anchor that says, I know who I am, and no amount of external chatter can redefine me. This kind of confidence is not arrogant. It does not seek to prove itself by silencing others. Instead, it is rooted in self-awareness and clarity of purpose. You are not moved by whether they praise or condemn, because your value was not born from their voices. Confidence is cultivated in the quiet spaces where you meet yourself, where you learn your strengths, confront your weaknesses, and embrace your uniqueness. Out of that place comes an authority that is not dependent on applause. The greatest test of confidence is not in moments of acceptance, but in seasons of rejection. Can you remain steady when misunderstood? Can you continue moving forward when mocked? Can you stand tall even when surrounded by voices telling you to sit down? If your confidence is dependent on silence outside, you will never truly be free, because the world will never stop speaking. But when the silence is within, you carry peace into the storm. You do not need to fight every word or chase validation, because you already know where you stand. This is the confidence that endures, the kind that shines brighter under attack, the kind that proves unshakable because it is anchored in truth, not in approval. Purpose-driven people learn to translate opposition into confirmation of direction. When you live with clarity about why you are here and what you are called to do, resistance stops being a sign to turn back and instead becomes evidence that you are on the right path. Every great movement, every life of impact has been met with criticism, because the moment you begin to rise, you disrupt the comfort of those who remain where they are. Opposition is not random. It often surfaces as a reaction to your forward motion. A person without purpose interprets resistance as rejection, but a person anchored in destiny interprets it as validation. The very fact that your steps attract criticism means your presence is being felt. Purpose carries weight, and that weight presses against the fragile structures of complacency, fear, and mediocrity around you. Those who are unwilling to rise will naturally resist those who do. This is why you must not be discouraged when voices rise against you. Instead, take it as a signal that your path is stirring the atmosphere, that your actions are shaking the ground you walk on.
The difference between being crushed by opposition and being fueled by it lies in your perspective. If you see it as an obstacle, you will stop. If you see it as confirmation, you will accelerate. Purpose is the compass that helps you interpret the meaning of every challenge, every critic, and every barrier. It whispers to you, this resistance exists because you are moving in the right direction. Without that inner compass, negativity feels like chaos. With it, negativity becomes a guidepost, pointing you deeper into your mission. When your life is anchored in purpose, even opposition becomes evidence that you are exactly where you need to be.
Negativity is proof that you are visible, that you are making ripples worth noticing. No one wastes time criticizing what they cannot see. The moment your presence begins to disrupt the ordinary, the moment your voice carries weight, the moment your actions create movement, you become noticeable. And with visibility comes response, sometimes applause, sometimes resistance, sometimes outright hostility. It is not the invisible who face the sting of negativity. It is those who are stepping into light, those whose very existence becomes a reminder to others of what they are not doing. When people notice you, they form opinions. Some will celebrate, others will criticize, but both are evidence that you are making an impact. Silence and indifference are the true signs of irrelevance. If no one ever speaks against you, it may be because your presence has not yet been felt. Negativity, in this sense, is a strange form of acknowledgement. It is a sign that your voice has reached ears, your steps have left footprints, and your light has been seen. The mistake many make is to interpret visibility as vulnerability. They feel exposed under the weight of criticism and shrink back, believing that being noticed is a curse. But to be visible is to carry influence, and influence always draws attention, both positive and negative. The challenge is not to hide from that reality, but to accept it as proof of movement. Every harsh word, every dismissive comment, every attempt to undermine you is confirmation that you are no longer invisible. Your presence has disrupted the silence, and your life has become loud enough to provoke response. Negativity is not always a sign you are failing. More often, it is a sign that you are shining, and the world cannot help but notice. Emotional maturity is the art of choosing growth instead of offense. Life will always present you with words, actions, and attitudes that could easily wound your pride or stir your anger, but true maturity lies in how you respond. Naming maturity reacts quickly, wearing every insult like a badge and carrying every criticism as if it were a heavy stone. But maturity understands that offense is a choice, and choosing offense locks you in the very cage built by those who sought to hurt you. Growth, however, takes what was meant to bind you and uses it as a stepping stone towards strength. When someone criticizes you, emotional maturity asks, "What can I learn here?" rather than, "How dare they say this to me?" That shift in perspective transforms negativity into a classroom, where every harsh word becomes a teacher. Growth demands humility. The humility to sift through pain and find truth, even if it is buried beneath malice. Offense, on the other hand, blinds you. It traps you in endless cycles of bitterness and defensiveness, preventing you from seeing the hidden wisdom that could refine you. The power of maturity is that it frees you from being enslaved to the emotions of others. You are no longer swayed by every wave of negativity because you have chosen to stand on the solid ground of purpose. You understand that not all criticism is accurate, but all criticism can be useful if processed with wisdom. Offense keeps you small. Growth expands you. Offense holds you back in chains of resentment. Growth propels you forward into clarity and resilience. Emotional maturity is not about silencing your feelings, but about mastering them, ensuring that in the face of negativity, you do not shrink, but rise higher, stronger, and wiser. Criticism is raw energy. It is your choice whether to burn from it or fuel your fire with it. Every word spoken against you carries force, sometimes sharp, sometimes subtle, but always with the potential to provoke a reaction. The moment you receive criticism, you are at a crossroads. You can allow it to consume you, letting anger, doubt, or discouragement ignite within and burn your spirit. Or you can take that same energy and redirect it toward growth, purpose, and momentum. The difference lies in perception and choice. When you see criticism as fuel rather than poison, every negative word becomes a spark. Instead of shrinking from it, you harness it to propel yourself forward. It is like coal pressed into fire under pressure. It transforms into heat that can light a path, forge strength, and illuminate purpose. The raw energy that others intend to use against you can become the very force that drives your progress. What was meant to weigh you down becomes the push that lifts you higher. This transformation requires discipline and awareness. You must recognize the emotion that criticism triggers, hurt, anger, frustration, and choose not to be enslaved by it. Instead, convert it into focus, into determination, into clarity of vision. Every time someone doubts you, let it remind you of why your goals matter. Every time someone speaks against you, let it affirm that you are moving in a direction that is worth noticing. Fueling your fire with criticism is not about vengeance or proving someone wrong. It is about channeling energy wisely, about refusing to let external negativity dictate your internal state. When mastered, this principle turns every attempted attack into an opportunity to rise, to sharpen your resolve, and to transform opposition into unstoppable momentum. People attack where they sense strength, not weakness. The criticism, opposition, or negativity you encounter is rarely random. It is targeted at the very areas where you shine most brightly, where your confidence is visible, where your purpose is beginning to take shape. Those who seek to wound you are often drawn to your light because they feel it in contrast to their own darkness. They see in you qualities they wish they had, courage they cannot summon, or progress they have not achieved, and so they attempt to shake you with words, judgment, or doubt. Understanding this truth changes the way you perceive attacks. When someone speaks against you, it is not always because you are failing. Often, it is because you are succeeding. People rarely expend energy on what they cannot perceive. Their criticism becomes a form of acknowledgement. They are responding to your presence, your growth, and your potential. What they attempt to destroy is actually the proof of what you are building, and their resistance inadvertently highlights the very strengths they wish to undermine. The wisdom lies in interpreting attacks correctly. Instead of internalizing them as evidence of inadequacy, see them as indicators of the areas where your power is emerging. Let their words become signals that you are on the right path and that your influence is being felt. Those who attack most strongly are often those who are most aware of your capacity to rise, even if they cannot accept it themselves. By recognizing that attacks are aimed at strength, you free yourself from fear and resentment. You no longer shrink from criticism because you understand that it is not a reflection of failure, but a reflection of visibility and impact. The more they try to undermine you, the clearer it becomes that you are moving in alignment with your purpose, standing boldly in the very areas where your light cannot be ignored. Purpose filters pain, teaching you which words to keep and which to release. When you are anchored in a clear sense of destiny, criticism and negativity no longer sweep over you like unrelenting storms. Instead, they pass through a filter, and only what holds value for your growth is retained. Words that are meant to discourage, belittle, or provoke fear slide off the surface of your spirit, while any wisdom hidden within is extracted and applied. Purpose gives you the discernment to know which voices matter and which are irrelevant, transforming what could be a source of distraction into an instrument of clarity. Without purpose, every negative word pierces deeply. Without a higher calling, you risk absorbing every opinion, letting every criticism chip away at your confidence and focus. But when purpose anchors you, you no longer operate from reaction, but from understanding. You begin to see that some voices are not intended to guide you, but to test you. Some criticisms are simply echoes of other people's limitations. Others may carry truth you can use, but only if you have the inner strength to extract it without taking on their fear, judgment, or bitterness. Purpose also allows you to remain unattached to approval. You are no longer swayed by praise or shaken by disapproval because your value is determined by the mission you were sent to fulfill, not by the fluctuating opinions of the world. Criticism becomes a teacher, negativity becomes a mirror, and every challenge becomes a lesson in refinement. Purpose filters out the noise, leaving only what will strengthen your resolve, sharpen your focus, and propel you forward. In this way, the trials you encounter are not burdens, they are instruments carefully calibrated to guide you toward the life you were meant to lead. Detachment is not indifference, it is mastery over your emotional response. Many confuse the two, believing that to detach is to stop caring or to withdraw from life entirely. In truth, detachment is the conscious choice to remain centered and unshaken, even when circumstances or people try to provoke you. It is the strength to observe without being consumed, to feel without being controlled, and to act without being dictated by every emotion that arises. This mastery is what separates those who are easily swayed by criticism from those who rise above it with dignity and clarity. When you're detached, you are able to witness negativity without allowing it to penetrate your core. You see the words, the judgments, and the attacks for what they are. Expressions of another's perspective, often clouded by fear, insecurity, or misunderstanding. Detachment grants you the ability to filter what matters from what does not, to absorb lessons without absorbing poison. You are fully aware of what is happening around you, yet your inner peace remains intact because it is not dependent on external approval or validation. Detachment is also a form of empowerment. By refusing to react impulsively to negativity, you reclaim the energy that others hope to drain from you. You no longer give them power over your emotions, your decisions, or your focus. Instead, you channel your energy into growth, purpose, and progress. Mastery over your emotional response allows you to navigate life with clarity and intentionality, choosing your actions based on vision rather than fear, and responding from strength rather than weakness. Through detachment, you rise above the chaos of judgment, opinion, and criticism. You maintain sovereignty over your inner world, ensuring that no external force can compromise your peace, your purpose, or your power. In this space, true strength is revealed, not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. Every storm of words is a chance to anchor deeper into your identity. Life will inevitably bring moments when voices rise against you, when criticism pours in, or when people try to shake your confidence. These storms are not signs of failure, but opportunities to understand more clearly who you are, what you stand for, and what cannot be moved. The turbulence of others' opinions tests the foundation of your spirit, revealing whether it is strong enough to hold your vision steady or fragile enough to crumble under pressure. When negativity comes, the natural instinct is to react, to defend, or to retreat. But anchoring deeper requires a different approach, calm observation. By standing firm amid the storm, you learn to separate what belongs to you from what belongs to others. You see that not every word is a judgment of your value. Not every criticism a reflection of your capability. Some are merely projections of fear, envy, or insecurity. The more storms you face, the more clarity you gain about who you are at the core and what truly matters in your life. Storms also teach resilience. Each time you withstand the weight of judgment or negativity without surrendering your sense of self, you build an inner strength that cannot be shaken. The winds of opinion may roar, but the anchor of identity holds. You begin to understand that your peace and purpose are not dependent on external approval, but on the unwavering alignment between your actions and your calling. By using each verbal storm as a mirror, you gain insight into your values, priorities, and power. Instead of being tossed around by the words of others, you stand taller, rooted more deeply in the truth of who you are. These moments of opposition become lessons in self-mastery, teaching you to navigate life with both courage and discernment, and to remain unshaken no matter how fierce the winds may blow. Criticism, when stripped of venom, may hide a seed of wisdom. Often, the words spoken against us are sharp, harsh, and designed to wound. But beneath the surface of even the most painful critique, there can exist insight that strengthens rather than diminishes. The challenge lies in our ability to look past the tone, the delivery, and the intent, and to discern whether there is something within the message that can serve our growth. What is meant to hurt can become a tool for refinement, a hidden guide pointing toward areas where improvement, awareness, or clarity is needed. Many people hear criticism and respond with defensiveness, immediately rejecting the words as an attack. But wisdom teaches that even in opposition, there is opportunity. When a word stings, it is not necessarily a reflection of failure. It may be a reflection of a blind spot, a habit, or a limitation that you have yet to address. Stripped of the emotional weight imposed by the critic, the core of the message often contains a lesson, a nudge, or a perspective that can elevate your understanding. The process of uncovering this wisdom requires detachment and discernment. You must separate the venom from the insight, the fear from the truth, the judgment from the knowledge. By doing so, criticism ceases to be a weapon and becomes a mirror, showing you where your blind spots lie and where your growth can expand. This approach transforms how you interact with the world. Instead of fearing criticism, you begin to anticipate the opportunities hidden within it. Every negative word becomes a chance to learn, to adjust, and to strengthen your character. In this way, what was designed to undermine you becomes a catalyst for your elevation, proving that even the sharpest words can carry the seeds of your greatest wisdom. Those who walk in destiny understand that resistance is divine confirmation. The moment you begin to pursue your calling, you will encounter opposition, doubt, and skepticism. It is not a coincidence or a sign that you are on the wrong path. Rather, it is a signal that you are moving in alignment with a purpose far greater than comfort or convenience. Resistance surfaces because your presence, your vision, and your potential challenge the ordinary. It shakes the complacency of the world around you and awakens fear in those who are not yet ready to step into their own power. Understanding this truth shifts the way you perceive obstacles. Instead of seeing resistance as an enemy, it becomes a guidepost. Every critic, every naysayer, every challenge is confirmation that you are stepping beyond the familiar, that you are making an impact, and that your journey matters. Those who resist you are often responding not to weakness, but to the undeniable strength and clarity of your mission. Their doubt cannot diminish the calling that has been placed upon you, but it can illuminate the areas where you must stand firmer, prepare deeper, and move with even greater intentionality. Walking in destiny requires a level of faith and discernment that is unshakable. You must see beyond the surface, understanding that the opposition is often an indicator that you are exactly where you are meant to be. It is a signal that your actions are significant, that your influence is being felt, and that your movement is stirring the atmosphere. Resistance becomes a form of validation, a sacred sign that your life is not ordinary, and that the path you are walking carries weight and meaning far beyond what can be measured by approval or applause. When you internalize this principle, obstacles lose their power to intimidate. You begin to embrace challenges as markers of alignment, knowing that the presence of resistance is not a curse, but a confirmation of the divine purpose guiding every step you take. Negativity is inevitable, but being ruled by it is optional. Life will always present you with voices that doubt you, circumstances that challenge you, and people who seek to diminish your light. The world is filled with opinions, judgments, and criticisms that can easily infiltrate your mind if you allow them. Yet the key difference between those who are empowered and those who are defeated is not the presence of negativity, but the choice of response. You cannot control what others say or do, but you can control how you internalize it, how you let it shape your thoughts, and how you allow it to influence your actions. When negativity is allowed to govern your mind, it becomes a chain tying you to fear, self-doubt, and reaction. Every word spoken against you becomes a weight that drags you downward, preventing clarity and progress. But when you choose not to be ruled by it, you reclaim your authority. You stand firm, anchored in your values, purpose, and identity. And you decide which words to acknowledge, which to learn from, and which to release. This choice is an act of sovereignty, a declaration that no external force has the power to define your reality unless you permit it. Being ruled by negativity keeps you small, reactive, and trapped in cycles of resentment and distraction. Choosing freedom from it, however, allows you to transform every challenge into fuel, every critique into insight, and every obstacle into opportunity. You begin to see that what was meant to undermine you can actually refine you, teaching resilience, patience, and wisdom. Ultimately, the inevitability of negativity is a test of inner mastery. Those who rise above it demonstrate that strength is not measured by the absence of opposition, but by the ability to navigate life with clarity, grace, and unwavering purpose, unaffected by the attempts of others to shake them. To absorb all criticism is to drink poison. To convert it is to refine gold. Every harsh word, judgment, or dismissive comment carries energy that can either destroy or transform depending on how you handle it. When you take every piece of negativity into your spirit without discernment, it seeps into your mind, emotions, and actions, creating doubt, fear, and confusion. You begin to measure your worth by the opinions of others, and what was meant to be temporary commentary becomes a permanent weight on your soul. This is the poison of unchecked criticism, and it destroys potential, peace, and purpose. But there is another way, a path of transformation. The same criticism that could have corroded your spirit can be refined into something of value, like gold extracted from ore. It requires awareness, discernment, and the conscious decision not to absorb the venom. Instead of reacting with anger, resentment, or self-doubt, you pause, filter, and separate what is useful from what is destructive. Even in the harshest critique, there may lie insight, guidance, or awareness that can strengthen your skills, sharpen your judgment, or reveal blind spots. What was meant to weaken you becomes a tool for growth. Converting criticism into refinement is a mark of mastery. It demands emotional discipline, spiritual detachment, and a firm anchor in purpose. You learn to see negativity as a raw resource, not a curse. By choosing which words to internalize and which to release, you transform potential destruction into development, potential harm into healing, and potential doubt into determination. In this way, the attacks of others lose their power to define or diminish you. The poison they intended to pour into your life is refined into gold for your progress, proving that your growth and resilience are not determined by external words, but by the strength, wisdom, and discernment within you. Your response to negativity determines whether you remain bound or rise above. Life will always present voices that doubt, criticize, or attempt to undermine your progress. Some people will speak harshly, others will dismiss your vision, and some will even try to instill fear or insecurity. The critical difference lies not in the existence of these external pressures, but in how you choose to respond. If you allow yourself to be consumed by their words, you become trapped, carried by their agenda instead of walking your own path. Your energy, focus, and clarity are hijacked, and what was meant to challenge you becomes a cage. Choosing to rise above requires intentionality and inner discipline. It is the conscious decision to process criticism without being overpowered by it, to observe without absorbing, and to act without letting negativity dictate your pace or direction. When you respond from wisdom and detachment, every word spoken against you loses its ability to harm. Instead, it becomes data, a reflection of perspective, a test of resilience, and an opportunity to refine your character. By controlling your reaction, you reclaim authority over your emotions and decisions, ensuring that no external force can derail your purpose. Your response also sets the tone for your growth. Reacting impulsively or defensively keeps you tethered to the negativity, repeating cycles of doubt and frustration. Rising above, however, transforms opposition into fuel, fear into focus, and criticism into insight. The same words that could have anchored you in self-doubt become stepping stones toward greater clarity, confidence, and mastery. Ultimately, the choice is yours. Every external attempt to provoke, discourage, or destabilize you is powerless unless you grant it influence. Your response, calm, measured, purposeful, determines whether you remain confined by the opinions of others or soar unshaken into the life and destiny that awaits you. Strength is not proven in applause, but in the calm dignity you carry under attack. True power is not measured by the number of people who cheer for you, who validate your actions, or who celebrate your achievements. It is revealed in the moments when no one is watching, when criticism rains down, and when every voice around you is attempting to shake your confidence. The ability to remain steady, composed, and unwavering in these moments is the truest mark of inner strength. When you are under attack, whether through harsh words, judgment, or opposition, most will react impulsively, letting anger, frustration, or fear dictate their behavior. But those anchored in strength understand that reaction is not proof of power. Restraint, clarity, and calm. To meet negativity with dignity is to demonstrate that your identity, your purpose, and your peace are not negotiable. It is a quiet declaration that no external force holds authority over your spirit. This calm dignity also communicates power without aggression. People who lash out in response to criticism are often revealing their own vulnerability, while those who remain composed radiate confidence and control. Strength under attack requires emotional mastery. It is the ability to feel, acknowledge, and respond without being consumed by the intensity of external pressures. Each attempt to provoke becomes an opportunity to demonstrate resilience, to refine patience, and to anchor even deeper in self-awareness. Moreover, strength under attack inspires others. It shows that true leadership, character, and purpose are not dependent on constant validation. It proves that storms do not determine your trajectory, your response does. The calm dignity you maintain when faced with criticism becomes the silent testimony of your unshakable foundation, your unwavering faith in your purpose, and your mastery over both yourself and the challenges that life sends to test you. The power to rise above negativity lies not in changing the world around you, but in mastering the world within you. Every word meant to break you, every doubt cast upon your path, and every attempt to diminish your light carries within it the potential to ignite your purpose. When you choose detachment over reaction, clarity over confusion, and growth over offense, you transform opposition into opportunity. Your destiny is not dictated by the voices that try to shake you. It is defined by the calm, unwavering strength you carry, the clarity with which you pursue your purpose, and the fire you ignite from within. Stand firm, rise higher, and let every challenge become the fuel that propels you into the extraordinary life you were born to lead.